we were talking, and the callback was really incredible because it's really easy to be nervous for something like this when it's like a Tony Award winning director, like a big theater, like a big role, like. And I knew I was going into understudy Lancelot, so like I knew what I was in for, and basically the one thing that Bart did incredibly well is he really just made the room so casual. Like it wasn't like, all right, here
Mm,
we go, like we're good. He literally was like
yeah.
on his phone, and then he was like, hey, bro, okay, so we've never auditioned this part before, so we have no idea what we're doing. So, and I was like,
Word.
okay, so this is gonna go one of two ways. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I kind of took that and ran with it. And I remember he said, all right, let's sing the first song and then go straight into the scene. First song was C'est Moi, and it's a patter song, very powerful. And I remember singing that song, and peripherally, I could see him conducting. He was conducting me as I was singing it. So
Mm,
I just clicked in with him and just kind of followed his energy because he was showing me where to go, and then we just connected there, and it was thrilling. And then I went straight into the scene, and I remember like 3 lines in, he stopped me and he was like, "The energy you are at right now, top." And I was like, and that's when I knew we were collaborating. I was like, this is not just I'm gonna read it once and you're gonna give me one note. I'm gonna read it again and I'm gonna leave. I'm like, no, we're working here. And again, I I've been very spoiled in that sense because it's not always like that, and I want it to always be
yeah.
like that because it's completely different energy.
Yeah.
And we worked on the scene, and I felt like I really learned something. And then then came the moment when they were like, all right, now sing the pretty song. They literally said, sing the pretty song, no pressure. And i
Yeah.
and I go to sing it, and I remember really singing it, really giving it, oh, really giving it that that sound. And they all, and I remember I finished, and they all looked at me, and they looked at each other. And the music director, she said something to me I'll never forget in my life. She said, Matias, you have a beautiful voice, but can you be vulnerable?
Mm,
And I went, and they were like, this is not about, you can sing the role. Forget that now. You can sing the role, which for me has always been a thing. Trying to climb as a late bloomer, started singing when I was 19. I've always been climbing the
yeah.
mountain, right? They basically said, you're on top
Mm,
of the mountain, just take a breath, be you. You don't have to show us anything. And they were teaching me
mm,
something very philosophical at that time, especially at that time in my development. And Bart was like, just do the first 4 bars. You don't need to do any more than that. And I started, and I remember looking down at my shoes, and I took a breath, and I looked at my shoes, and I remember thinking, this is the moment. This is the moment where you either step up or you don't.
yeah.
And and I sang the first line, and I saw them nod and look at each other, and they let me sing the whole song. And I remember there was
Oh
just tears
shit.
in my eyes, and I didn't know what I was feeling. I wasn't trying to chase an objective. I wasn't doing anything that we were taught. I was just like, can I'm just feeling this thing. I'm just here. I'm just naked in front of you right now. And it was it was something that really hit me. And then I finished the song, and they just were really quiet, and they looked at each other, and they were like, okay. And in my head, I was like, what does this mean? What is that? They're not reacting. I now know that's probably when you get the job. But back then, I
Mm,
was like, I don't know if this read. I don't know if this went through. And
yeah.
then,
Yeah.
and then the casting director looked at me, and he was like, "So you just graduated from UNCSA?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, in May." Well, in May, I just moved here a couple of weeks ago, and everyone like just nodded, and he looked at me, Adam Caldwell, and he said, "Welcome to New York."
Matthias, I got to give you some credit because what's incredible about it, you use the word manifest, and maybe that's the appropriate word. But for me, what stands out is like you took it, like you claimed it. We talk a lot of my guests on the show talk about preparation, talk about being prepared. You read an article that the show was coming out in, a year or
Yeah.
whatever, and you immediately picked up the music, started working on it. So I just want to illuminate this because the show is called The Actor's Instrument. And I just really want to our listeners to not just hear the story and think about like, oh, is this really dreamy thing that like worked out or he was perfect for the role? No, actually what I heard is that like you put in the work way ahead of you were so prepared. Imagine because you said like, oh, I realized the moment when we were collaborating. Could you have
No,
collaborated on that level had you not been working on the material for six
no,
months?
I
Right?
don't think
If you
so.
had just yeah, if you had just learned the music from the sides they sent you the week before or whatever, like it would have been so like the depth, I imagine just wouldn't be at the same place. You know, it's like when you're in the run of a show in rehearsal, what the material feels like versus like week of closing. And like just how much more ingrained it's gotten. So yeah, man, I just gotta give you credit there. So we got a few minutes left, so I'm gonna go rapid fire on a few questions. A lot of people think when you hit Broadway, you're set, you're good to go, you made it. Do you feel that way?
No, it gets harder. I truly believe
Mm,
it gets harder because then your dreams become realities, and living your dreams as realities is very different than dreaming them. And that comes with a lot of beauty and a lot of glory, but it comes with a lot of failure and a lot of, you know, you,
you start at the top, it's hard to,
yeah, man,
you
it's
know,
hard to stay. And I think that really once you start getting the opportunities that you've been dreaming of, you have to take them. You can't just think about it
yeah,
anymore. You can't just practice it in your room by yourself. You're doing it for the casting directors. You're doing it for the directors. You're doing it for the team. And I think that just that negotiation is it's just new. It's not impossible. It's literally it's the work that we want to do. But if you think you're gonna like once I get my Broadway credit, once I get on this show, I'll be able to now do it now so that then you can live in it, not thrive it, not survive it. You know, two
love that.
different things.
Love that. What was your biggest surprise working on Broadway? What did you not see coming? Or was it everything you thought it was going to be?
My biggest surprise was how much it felt like just doing theater.
Mm,
It felt not very different from doing a show at UNCSA, doing a show at my community college, doing a show in community theater. Really, the only thing that's different, honestly, is the stakes. The stakes
mm,
change, and that goes to location, to people, all of that encompasses, right? But at the end
sure.
of the day, you're putting on a show, you're telling a story, you got other people with you, you're all trying your best like to do a common goal. You're a team, and the ethos of it stays pretty similar. It's the stakes that
Yeah.
change.
Love that.
Hey guys, thank you for checking out The Actor's Instrument on YouTube. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a beat. You can follow us at Actors Instrument Podcast on all social media platforms. Till next time, y'all. Peace.